Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is MJ Mangiarelli, and I am a career educator and career counselor at BioSci Careers, I'm a member of Stephanie's team. And today I'm going to talk with you, as you see, about creating your networking community. I'm really excited about it because it's something that I enjoy doing, and I know that that can seem really unusual, but I guess it's just because it's something that I think that I was kind of raised to do a long time ago. But what I thought I would talk about today, though, in this context, is beginning with the end in mind. And I am a firm believer, and have spent a lot of time in industry, that 80%, 75, I usually say about 75 to 80% of all positions are found through other people, and I'm going to kind of show you how that works. And because that's such a high number, how important it is to be able to understand the value of networking. But what I also want to do is demystify it, and how it doesn't have to be this, for some, anxiety-provoking, fake, insincere type of a strategy. So I'm going to present you with, I think, a way that hopefully will feel more comfortable to you. Okay? The other thing I wanted to mention right off the bat is that it doesn't mean that you have to attend loud conferences. It doesn't mean you have to attend large career fairs. It doesn't mean if you're shy and you like to spend a lot of time on your own, do you still have to think about networking? You know, if you love to share information with other people and you can prepare what you want to say ahead of time, it's going to work for you. How's that sound? So I want to try and make it doable. Okay, so these are going to be my goals today. Defining what it is, first of all. What does it really mean? Because I think that's another thing. I think it kind of got a bad rap along the way. It became this overused, misunderstood type of communication style or, you know, activity. So I think, first of all, I'd like to talk to you about what is it, what are the benefits, what are the types of networking, and what do you have to do? So far, so good? Okay. All right. So, definition. It's the art and science of having discussions with many individuals that you know and or others where you initiate the initial introduction. The discussion is targeted towards a specific objective, i.e., in this case, a job search, a shared learning, or a shared insight. It is done with sincerity, it is mutually beneficial and reciprocal, and it will hopefully lead to building long-lasting relationships. So far, okay? Okay. So I'm going to share a quick story with you, just to kind of drive this point home a little bit. Many years ago, you know the company Verifone, the credit card swiping company? Well, I was one of their initial employees a long time ago, when they were still private. And I had the best HR director that I reported to at that time. She was just absolutely wonderful and really mentored me at the very early stages of my career. So we worked together for a few years. I left the company to raise a family. She kept working with the company, and we never spoke again for 12 years. But for 12 years, we exchanged Christmas cards. Every single year, there was a card in the mail, and I sent her a card in the mail. And 12 years later, I got a Christmas card from her, and she said, MJ, what are you up to now? And I was like, wow, fast forward, this has been a long time. She said, because I'm working at this company now, and I need somebody who can do what you do, and I imagine that 12 years later, you're probably involved in this and this and this. Will you come up to Portland and talk to us? I couldn't believe it. 4 days later, I was on a plane, and I ended up working for her again. But it was all because of the lasting relationships that we had formed years ago. And that's why I really believe in the power of being able to build these types of relationships that are really based on this mutual respect, but that originally had started out from networking. Okay? Okay. So where do you do it? When, why, how, and what's next? So where do you do it? You can really do it anywhere. And I'll give you an example. You could be standing in line at Coupa and having people that are standing in front of you, and of course everybody's on their phones, but there are times when people aren't and they just want to chat a little bit. And it's like, oh, hi, are you in the engineering school? Because Coupa's at engineering. No, I'm at the med school. What do you do? Oh, I'm a postdoc. I work in this area. Really? Oh, I'm going to be looking for something like that too. Or I've always wanted to understand more about that type of engineering. Or you create those devices? Really? We use that device in our lab. I mean, it's just funny how connections are made. That's very informal. It's nothing formal. It's nothing practiced, nothing rehearsed. It's a bit of a shared interest. You're finding out about one another. So it can be as informal as standing in line at Coupa. It can be as formal as attending an organized career fair. Would you agree? You can be able to do it in many different places. So that's kind of the where and the when, but the why. This is, I think, really important. So one thing that I like to do, speaking of demystifying, I really don't like the word networking. I think it has gotten a bad rap, and it has been overused. Maybe the practice, maybe some parts of it were misused. So I prefer to call it conversational research. I think that if you think of yourselves, all of you being researchers, and you are always trying to seek new information, you're always asking new questions, you're trying to be able to find the answer and the solution to different questions. If you think about talking to other individuals that you would like to be able to have discussions with, and additionally, that you have no obligation or no commitment to the information that you're gathering. You're receiving information all the time. And if you could think about it as conversational research, I think it could be a little bit easier. Would you agree? As recently as yesterday, I had a 6-year PhD. He came in and he said, MJ, I dread this, but I know I have to start to network. And I said, why? And he said, because I don't know if I need a postdoc or not. I'm going into industry. Some people say I do. My PI says I do. Other people have told me that I don't. I really don't know. I have to go out and talk to people, but I'm scared to death. So we started to talk about, you're right. You need to do some conversational research. You don't have all the information yet. You need to find those answers. And this is how you're going to find the answers. And once we broke it down and made it more palatable, it was like, oh yeah, this is doable. I can have this exchange. I don't have to commit to saying, yes, I'm going to do a postdoc if somebody tells me to, or no, I'm not, but I'm going to gather their perspective. I'm going to ask them for their opinion. I'm going to share my insights with them. I'm going to share my new learnings, my thesis with them. But not and then I can decide and distill through the information that I receive through these conversations. Okay. So the benefits, as I was mentioning, is to establish long-term relationships with future colleagues, decision makers, hiring managers, not only in your field of the life sciences, but in other science fields as well. Build visibility of your own strengths and accomplishments. Now, I will tell you, and I firmly believe, that it is likely harder for 99.9% of us to talk about what we do than to do it. I think most of us would much rather do our work and do a fine job at our work than have to actually talk to other people about what we do. So does it take some practice? Yes. Does it take some assessing? What am I good at? What are my strengths? I never thought about my skills. I just know I do my work. I analyze, I critique, I categorize, I create, I devise, but I don't sit around and think about it, right? That's where you can really be able to, I think by coming to us, be able to help, we can help you be able to extract and define the work that you do. Because very simply and succinctly, that's how you will discuss your skills with others as you get out and network. You will, I promise, you will collect information about different trends, which is so exciting. It's like, wow, I didn't know this was happening in this industry. I had no idea that it was so important, that this drug was making such a big difference in these areas. I mean, these are all the things that you will find out as you conduct conversational research. And you also will be sharing knowledge that will lead to future. And in this case, when I say collaborations, I'm not referring to future scientific collaborations, or it could be. What I do mean is that it's collaborations as far as being able to work together, partnerships. I also forgot to mention that in my working career, I have only had one job that I did not get a job through that was not through networking. And I have not had just one job through my career. So I just wanted to be able to mention, this is just something that I firmly, firmly believe, not only when you are looking for work, but also if you are trying to decide, again, like yesterday's PhD, the direction that you want to go in, a pivot you might be making, curiosity about a company, about an industry. It's not, I'm referring today to job search, however, it's used in much broader terms. Good? Okay. All right. Here's a really simple script for you. Really simple. I'm soon going to be graduating. I have deep expertise in this area, and this is what I'm currently exploring. How I can use my skills. I really don't know. I know a lab. I know academia. And that's all what I know. But I really want to find out more what's out there. I'd like your opinion about this, or would you mind sharing your perspective with me about this? A really simple script, yet it's been refined because when you're talking to other people and you're asking them if they will have coffee with you, if you can have a 30-minute conversation with them, again, you're introducing yourself and this is what you're looking for. You're not asking for a job. That is the mortal sin of networking. Okay? You are not asking for a job ever. What you are doing is asking for opinions, insights, sharing information. That's not to say that it would not later on develop into a position because they're getting to know you and know of your strengths and backgrounds. However, in that moment, at that time, it's not an interview, a job interview. So just to drive it home, tell me again, why do I need to do this? Because I recognize it can be very painful, seemingly painful before you do it. So I'll tell you, when you think about how you want to invest your time and energy and efforts, I can recognize that it seems more fruitful and it's less stressful to sit in front of a laptop and go to company websites and go to job search and think, let's go and apply. And that's a really good use of my time. But I will tell you, though, that that can also be and will be likely the most frustrating way for you to be able to look for work. And I'm going to show you why. This is a very typical low numbers way of how jobs are found in organizations. Say, for example, you have one position, senior scientist. 300 people apply. There's a recruiter there, and this person is all over the place. Recruiters are paid to be able to find qualified individuals. That is their role, to bring in talent into an organization. Okay? And their performance is actually measured on how quickly they can fill a position. So that's part of their own job performance criteria. So all these applications come in and they're screening. And they go from 300 down to 50. And they take those 50 and they go through them again and they say, you know what, I'm going to call 20 people. So they call 20 and they do the phone screen. And they do the phone screen, and then out of those 10, they send those to the HR business manager for a really long time. And that person works with the management team of different business units. And you work with them, and then you kind of go through and say, okay, we've culled the list this far. How many people do you want to bring in? Because what you're trying to do is save time for the decision maker. So that person says, well, you know what, here's 10, thanks a lot, but I think I want to bring 5. Okay, makes sense. So you bring 5 people in, and there's an internal referral. Aha, that internal referral. Look at what happened. If I can. Right here, look what happened to the funnel. This person who, instead of competing with 300, is down here competing with 5. And the way that that person came in was not through the general pool of sitting behind the laptop and applying through what I call applying through the front door. This person has been through discussions, through doing conversational research, to finding out about what we call the hidden job market, positions that are available, an expansion of a facility, of somebody who's moving and now there's going to be an opening. This person has found out information that wasn't publicly known. And additionally, companies will always want to, if they can, go with the internal candidate, because it's kind of a like attracts like. If you're a really strong performer and you recommend somebody to my company, I'm more likely to want to hire your referral than somebody else, right? So that internal referral came in, and they came in through doing their conversational research. So what happened is, now they're competing against, there's only 6 candidates now, instead of starting out at 300. And interestingly, you guys, I'm not saying that the internal candidate was the strongest one. We'll never know. Anybody could have been the strongest candidate. But because this person eliminated being in this huge mass of candidates, I can't remember. I mean, I was once in a presentation with Google recruiters, and I forget the thousands of people that they talked about that apply every day. And so you think about, I'm distilling from 300, but if you multiply that, and you think about the numbers of distilling to be able to bring it down like this, that's why it's most important to spend your time in here rather than applying up here. And that's why it's so important to try out doing some conversational research. Make sense? Okay. Okay, here's the good news. There are different ways to go about this. Depending on your personality preference, you can then find the type of environment that's going to be most comfortable for you. If you are an extrovert, and now when I'm saying extrovert, introvert, I'm talking more by Myers-Briggs preferences, not just kind of like a loose type of a thing. But if you derive your energy from meeting people easily, if you like to talk to strangers sometimes in Coupa lines, if you can kind of oftentimes kind of like come up with conversations quickly and easily, and you don't mind going to large events that are orchestrated around talking with hiring managers, and they can be very, very beneficial events. These types of events are very useful for you, because you, under one umbrella or under one tent or in one room, you get a chance to talk to between 20 and 100 different companies. It's wonderful for maximization. However, if you are shyer, if you're more reserved, if you would rather be able to, if you do better one-on-one, then most definitely that you will want, and you have conversations that you'd like to be able to prepare ahead of time, questions, all of that, most definitely then you'll want to meet with people and be referred to them one-on-one. What's most important for you to know, let's see if I put this in here, There are different ways to network, yet you can derive the same outcome. That's the most important thing, is depending on your comfort level for you to decide what's better for you. Are you good with the, a few years ago, I remember I was at a career fair and it was an evening event and it was really lovely. Great food, good drinks, and these employers walking around, and I just saw some very capable, competent people standing in the corner because it just wasn't their thing. So interestingly, what happened was the event ended. And as the event ended and 90% of the people left, there were a few people hanging out. So the recruiter started to talk to the two people who had been standing in the corner for most of the evening. By 90% of the people were gone, they didn't have to fight for a chance or try to, get up to the table. They started to have a conversation. The next thing you know, both of them had gotten interviews at this company that was tearing down their table at the same time. Just because they needed more time and space and to be able to have a conversation. So you have to figure out what's going to be able to work for you. What's the environment that's best for you? Because either way works. Okay? The most important thing is making that connection. So, who do you talk to? Where do you start? It's like, okay, great. All right, I can manage this. Where do I start? You always start close to home. Close to home. Close to home is who is part of your ecosystem today? Who's part of your network? Who are part of your connections? People that you count on all the time. So when I say that I was raised networking, it's because if I needed a hairdresser, I'm going to ask my friends, where do you go? If I want to, find out what's the newest Thai restaurant, I'm going to ask people. This is all pre-Yelp. I will do those things. So where you want to do, if I'm going to be looking for work, or if I'm going to be looking to talk and find out about this amazing number of BioSci companies that we have here in the Bay Area, or say, for example, in San Diego, and I'm going to be looking, what do I do? How do I start all this? Start with people that know you best. And here's where you'll start. People that you work with, people that you used to be in your lab with you, advisors and mentors, people that you have spoken to or met or heard speak at various conferences, your PIs, and then remember your personal life. Now, when we do this in person, I have never not come up with 25 people's names off the cuff, quickly, immediately, because all you have to do is go around the different bubbles in your life and think about who do they know that you don't know, okay? And I'll show you how that works, because this is how it works. Here's your tier 2. Now these are the people that you don't know. So tier 1 is your own network. Tier 2 is your new network, then your new connections. Oh, let me tell you a great story. Last year I had a postdoc who did his PhD at Michigan, where I went, so that was fun. And he was there for 6 years, was only here for 2 years, and really felt that his network was back there. So I must tell you that a holiday season is a great time to extend connections with others, because it's part of the holiday season that we reconnect, usually, right? So what he did, in a very strategic way, was that in his holiday letter, he reconnected with all of his former lab mates, his advisors, his selection committee, his thesis committee. He did everything. And he said, I'm just about to finish my postdoc. It's been a great 2 years here. I'm out looking. I'm going to be looking. Who do you know that I can talk to that are working in these companies? He knew his industry. He needed these companies. Sure enough, this is how it works. Around here. And he said, oh my God, MJ, it's working. And that 25 that he started out with in his first cluster of circles, of bubbles, started to grow. And then, because he was referred to all these people, he started to have conversations with him, and his network grew. And so now he's working as a senior scientist at Merck. True story. So if you're going to do this, now let me back up. When you think about what am I supposed to ask when I meet all these people, that's a little bit of a different workshop that we're going to be having more around information interviewing, and we'll kind of go through that because you want to ask people around, well, you always have to think about what's your objective for meeting. You know, I want them to know about my skills and my strength, but I also want to be able to find out what has their career path been? How did they get into this company? What do they like about it? What was their preparation? What has been their background? So there are a lot of questions to be able to think about, and you'll want to be able to think about those and prioritize those, and we can help you with that. But as far as actual networking is concerned, expanding your connections, this is what you need to do. With whomever you meet, you always have to be able to write a thank you note. And you can send an email. That's absolutely great. But you always want to send an email and say, thank you very much for the time and perspective and insight that you shared with me today. I realize now this, okay? It's very important that if you can be able to reference something that you spoke about in your conversation, really important. And you can do the same thing when you go to a career fair. And if you have 10 tables like this, remember you have to get business cards from each of your 10 tables, and you write a quick note. It was great to meet you at the alumni event that we met at Stanford in December. But really quickly, but again making that connection, because I promise you, 80% of the people don't do that. So when you do, it makes an impression. Wow, they followed up. Wow, they actually thanked me for my time. They're really interested, and they're professional. Okay. Now, I said email or handwritten. Email is absolutely fine. If you have beautiful penmanship and you like to write handwritten notes, I guarantee you that will really surprise people but that's definitely up to you. But you want to thank them exactly for what I said. Now, another one of the errors that people make when they do conversational research is that they never stay in touch with the person that they talk to again. And it's very disappointing when you're on the other side, because you did give them time, you did share your expertise, you did share your information and your knowledge, and then you say, I wonder whatever happened to Bob. He came and he talked to me. You know, I've been working at Gilead for 15 years. He was so interested in what my background, what I do. I've never heard from him again. I wouldn't recognize him if I saw him. That is a missed opportunity right there, and it's unprofessional. So it's very important that you keep people apprised of how your exploration's coming along, right? Or how your job search progress is coming along. You don't have to write them all the time, but I mean, if you write them when you land a new position and you say, I want to thank you very much for being part of my exploration. I've recently accepted a position here. All you have to do. And then once a year, stay in touch and write a little note and let them know what you're up to. Also, you want to, when you can, I said in the definition that it's reciprocal, because as you're having conversations with people and you are doing your research, they're also learning from you. So when you can, reciprocate. Send them an article that you think is sound, that they would be intrigued by. They'll go, wow, I had no idea. Really? They're doing that at the med school? Cool. So it was a new learning for them. Send them a publication that you come across that you think that's something they might be interested in. That's the quid pro quo. You did this for me. Thanks a lot. I want to do this for you. I want to share. I want to reciprocate. Okay? So information that you think that they will appreciate, and that keeps that door open. Let them know when you land the job. You might be working with that person someday. Like my 12-year hiatus. Okay. Lastly, how do you keep track of all of this? Once you start talking to people, it grows. It's a network. It grows. So as it grows, you have to think about, how am I going to keep track of all this, because it will get unwieldy really quickly. When I talked to Bob, where did he work again? What did he say? Did I send the thank you note? What's my follow-up? What's my action? So I find that this is a really great, helpful little tool, is to set up a spreadsheet for yourself. This is who I met. This is who I was referred to. This is where we met. We had coffee. This is what he's doing. Did I send a thank you? And what did I say I was going to do? All on one sheet. Okay? It makes your research more manageable. Lastly, once you figure out your style, what's going to be most comfortable for you, then I hope and I think that you will enjoy this, because as researchers, you are always looking for new information. You always have new questions to ask. You're always trying to solve new experiments. Well, in this case, you can actually have those conversations about that. So I'm hoping that you will enjoy it, and that it will lead you to new connections and new relationships that, again, that will be possibly unknown for you, that you're uncovering. Okay? Thank you very much.